So while they are walking, they can lift their tail up, the cubs can see it, and they can follow it, and will follow the females. Dina has asked us, why do lions have manes? So the big males all form these beautiful, beautiful big manes, and the reason for that is it protects them. So it's also to attract females. Big, long, hairy manes may attract the females to the males, make them more attractive, but the main reason is for protection. Males constantly fight with each other for dominance and for territory. So they've got these thick coats or thick manes to protect them, that if they fight or bite each other around the neck or the head, there's a lot of hair, so hopefully they won't get as badly injured as they would if they didn't have it. So that is probably the main reason why lions have manes. Look how he's licking that kill, probably trying to clean it, that little piece of meat that he's got left there. He's got a very, very rough tongue. Lions and other big cats too, but especially lions, they've got little hairs on their tongue, and it's very, very rough. If they were to lick your skin, they could lick your skin off within a few minutes. And you can see how that he's probably trying to get rid of some of the hair that is on that young buffalo. You can see he's spitting some out there, so he can get to the good meat underneath. We're going to sit with these lions a little bit longer. It's a really, really wonderful sighting. While I do that, James has got some spotted friends for you.
Look, everyone, there is a spotted hyena. Now, I know that most of you have seen The Lion King, and you've seen that the spotted hyena is supposed to be a nasty, thieving, cunning, horrible animal. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. The hyena, spotted hyena, is a magnificent creature. This is a mum, and she's just had 2 tiny little babies, and they're just inside this termite mound that she's living in. You see this huge mound of earth and sand and trees? This is a termite mound, and it was built by millions of little termites, which I suppose are a little bit like ants in appearance, but they're not related to ants. But this was built by millions of them. How many years ago, we can't even tell. Look at all the trees growing out in this termite mound. Much, much more ancient than you, much more ancient than your parents, much more ancient than your grandparents either. And inside it you can see a couple of holes, and they were dug by a very special animal called an aardvark. Okay, I'm going to count to 3, everyone, and then you're going to say aardvark. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Aardvark. Once more with Brian this time. 1, 2, 3. Aardvark. Now, an aardvark actually means earth pig, and its other name is an ant bear, and it's got very sharp claws, and that's what it uses to dig the holes. And then, when it's finished eating the termites, then the hyenas come, and they give birth just inside the holes. And the holes keep their babies warm and safe from other predators like those lions. Those lions don't like hyenas very much, and leopards and other hyenas. And we're just going to sit here for a little while and hope that maybe one of the tiny little babies will come out. Caitlin, you are obviously a very clever little girl, and you've travelled to the bush before, and you say, why are baby hyenas darker? Well, it's because they spend so much time in the shade. So you can imagine if you lived in a dark hole somewhere and you didn't want to be found by something, what would be the cleverest colour that you can be? If you want to move around at night time and you don't want to be seen by anything, black is the best clothing to wear. And that's the same reason that a hyena baby is black. Then when they get a bit older, they turn the color of their mum there, and she's very well camouflaged for walking around in the bush, especially in the early morning and the early evening. When the light isn't so good, those colors that she's got there are very good at keeping her camouflaged and hidden away from anything that she might want to eat or that might want to attack her. But the little ones live inside their holes. Oh, she's seen something. See how she's up and she's looking, she's smelling, she's got great ears, she can hear lots of things. She's got brilliant eyes, much better than our eyes, and an amazing, amazing nose. Now you know that your nose, when you smell something nice and you know when you smell something horrible, well, a hyena has a much, much stronger nose than even yours, and so she can smell things up to 3 kilometers away. Now some of you will live, well, I mean, that's like you being able to smell your house from where you're sitting right now. Isn't that amazing? Now we've got a question from, I think, Beyonce. Is that correct? Beyonce, what an interesting name that is. You want to know why they've got spots. Well, Beyonce, they've got spots for the same reason that the little ones are black. It's for camouflage. Now, I don't know if you know what camouflage is, but camouflage is the ability that an animal has to hide in plain view. And what that means is that even though the hyena might be very close to you, you wouldn't be able to see it. If it was in some thick bush, it would be camouflaged. It would be almost impossible to see. And those spots help it to be camouflaged. Now, I wonder how many of you have seen a soldier. Maybe not in real life, but perhaps on TV. A soldier, you know those clothes that a soldier wears that look like they've got bits of bush printed on them, or in those khaki or green colors? Well, that's called camouflage as well. And we've taken that idea from nature. Many of the things we do as human beings, we take the idea from nature. And hyenas and leopards and lions and nyala and zebra have been camouflaged for thousands of years before we decided to copy them. So that's why they're spotted, Yonsio. Oh, Caitlin, very nice question from you. You say, how old are the babies in the hole? Caitlin, the little babies in the hole, you wouldn't believe it, are only 2 weeks old. That's 14 days. Just 14 days old. And unlike, I don't know how many of you have got little baby brothers and sisters who are only 14 days old, but you know a 14-year-old baby, human, can't do anything. All it does is cry when it wants to eat. That's what we all did when we were 14 days old. A baby hyena, 14 days, can run around, it can play with its brother or sister. There are 2 of them in there, and we don't know if they're boys or girls yet. And they can play with their brother or sister, they can play on their mum, they can climb around on the mound, they've got fully developed teeth, they can see well, so they're very well developed, even at just 14 days old. You can see she's very tired, and that's because many, many animals out here are what we call nocturnal. That means they're active during the night. Okay, you guys have got to go and learn something else now. I hope you have a wonderful day at school. Madam Hedgehog's class, Madam Squirrel's class. There's the thumb saying goodbye to you, and the thumb is saying, learn very hard. Especially you, Sienna, work very hard today. Have a marvelous day, kids, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Just listening, everyone. Seemed like... Can you hear that? We'll just turn up the ambient sound a second. I wondered if it wasn't the baby hyenas calling from inside. We're going to sit here for another 5 or 10 minutes. I think it's going to be worthwhile. especially while we have the lions there. So let's head back to Barry and the lions, and we'll see you just now.
Oh, thank you very much, Sarah, sitting with the hyena over there. We're still with the lions. That male lion just picked up a little leg from that buffalo calf. This male has been feeding for a good half an hour, 40 minutes now. Not given up just yet. He's getting every little piece of meat he can get from that little carcass. And again, I think these lionesses, that lioness at the back, I think she is possibly responsible for the kill. Her, and there must have been one or two other lionesses around that helped her kill this young buffalo. I think they fed for a while, but the males probably heard the distress calls or alarm calls, and they headed into this area. And I think they've pushed away those adults, all those lionesses, and they started feeding. Only the one male, when we got to this morning, was feeding, and it looked like he had been feeding for quite some time. I think he got most of the good meat, and as he moved off, this male then moved in to start feeding. So I don't think they fed early on in the evening. I think these lionesses killed this around 10:30 or 11 o'clock last night, got to feed, and the males came in early this morning, early hours of this morning, and chased them off and have started to feed and finish up the kill. So Sarah from Austin, Texas has asked, or she read an article about a lioness that has a mane, and she asked if I've ever heard of this. Sarah, I have, and I've actually seen that lion, and it is in an area in Botswana, in the middle of Botswana, the central part of Botswana, known as Mombo. That was kind of where this lion was first seen, and its territory was in and around that area. So this lioness, for some reason, I think just had a higher testosterone level, and it started to grow a mane, and it did, it grew a mane. So it was very, very interesting. It was quite confusing for a lot of the lions. Often males would run in and just see this lion and think, well, that's another male, and would often act quite aggressively towards her, and then realize that it is in fact a female. So it's very, very interesting. That situation is not something that I've seen anywhere else. I've only seen it there, and I don't really know. I think it's genetics and the hormones that have affected that lion for some reason, and she has grown a mane. She's not grown a male. She's grown a mane. But interestingly enough, and I have read up and found in other parts of Africa, we've had male lions that haven't grown manes. They look very much like lionesses, only little tufts of hair around the head. That has happened in the past too. So I think it's area specific. Might be a deficiency in what they are eating. They're not getting enough nutrients. Perhaps lower testosterone levels. There could be a number of different reasons. But that lioness did grow a mane, and I have seen it. It's incredible. It's one of the joys of being able to take guests all over southern Africa and Africa. We do get to see different areas and different animals, and we get to experience very different behavior, which is area specific, and every area within southern Africa is quite different. You get different animals occurring in certain areas, and the behavior, depending on where they are, is also different. And Botswana also has lions which are used to swimming because there's a lot of water in the delta, and they've got to swim to get from one area to another, so they cross through very deep water at times. And I don't think I've ever seen lions in this part of South Africa, in the Sabi Sands where we are, ever really cross through a deep river or into a waterhole, because they don't need to. But if these animals need to do something, they will adapt completely to their surroundings. D-Rez has just asked us a question. Do lions feed on birds and fish? D-Rez, a good question. I have seen lions, and again, in times of drought, if food is scarce, lions may feed on barbel or the catfish, which we get in this area. When these water holes begin to dry up, you get a lot of catfish struggling to move around in the mud and the sludge, and they get caught out on the bank, and often lions will go and catch those catfish and feed on them. In terms of birds, I haven't seen lions feeding on birds, but I'm sure they would if they managed to catch one. It's not always that easy to catch a bird, but maybe a larger bird like a francolin or a guinea fowl, I'm sure they would. I've seen leopard many times feeding on birds like that, so there's no reason why lions wouldn't, but generally lions would prefer something more substantial. But I've seen lions feeding on something as small as a scrub hare, a little hare which we get in this area. So, they are opportunistic. If there's something around, they'll feed on it. No reason why they wouldn't. So Nevin from Australia has asked us a question, why it is that females don't defend their kills. So Nevin, I don't think it's a case of them not defending their kills. They will defend their kills against other predators like hyena or leopard or wild dog if they ran through. These lionesses would definitely chase those animals away and defend the kill. But the thing is, when these big males come into an area or a situation like this where the females have got a carcass, it is not worth trying to defend it. They may put up a little bit of a fight, but at the end of the day, these males are bigger, stronger, and more powerful than those females. So they've got to be very careful. They would generally prefer just to leave it, let the males feed, and when the males are finished, they will then be able to feed. It's not worth trying to protect a carcass from a male and potentially get very badly injured. It causes them potentially not to be able to hunt again. So they have to be careful. But as I mentioned, I think what happened with these lionesses is they did get to feed earlier on last night, and when the males came in, they then eventually had to move off the kill. So Grass Mutin has asked us a question, how long lions would sleep for during the day. Now, that is, I think, very much up for debate. The general idea is that lions can sleep up to 20 or 22 hours a day. They can rest a long time, but it does completely depend on the situation and the area that they're in. I think lions would probably rest mainly during the daylight hours, so from about 7, 8 o'clock in the morning as it starts warming up till about probably 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. And then they are generally more active later on in the evening. And the reason for that is it's cooler. It's better for them to move around when it is cooler. They use less energy, and also they like moving around under the cover of darkness because it's easier to hide and stalk prey in the dark. They will hunt during the day too, but it makes it a bit easier at night. Like we can see, this is how they got this young buffalo carcass or buffalo calf. So it's tough to say, but I would say they probably rest for a good 12 to 18 hours a day on average, and then depending in winter, when it is cooler, they probably move around a lot more because it's not as hot and it's more comfortable to move around during the day. But in the heat of summer, They will definitely rest from about 7 to 6 or 7 in the evening. They will definitely rest for long periods of time in summer. I'm going to spend a little bit more time with these lions and see if this lioness doesn't get some food shortly. While we do that, cross over to Sir James Henry and hopefully he has an update for you.
That's very kind there of Beric to send us across with such kind thoughts. We have got two kinds of animals here for you. Would you want to choose which one you want to see? We've got buffalo over there. There they are, Brian. Do you like the buffalo?
I love buffalo.
Just up ahead we've got elephants. That's how we roll in this part of the world. Animals on tap. You know how many animals we've had of late, Brian? Well, quite the opposite the last few days. But now the universe hath blessed us very richly of buffalo. Hello, X-Blade. That's an interesting Twitter handle. You say, how strong is elephant hide? Well, elephant hide is probably about 4 inches thick in some places. So you can imagine how tough that must be. I mean, I imagine it's probably it's the toughest leather you can find. And I think it's probably completely unworkable as well. So it's very, very tough indeed. But what's interesting, apparently, elephant skin is not waterproof. So it's water resistant, but unlike your skin, which is impervious to water, an elephant's skin is not, apparently. And I'm not really sure why that is, but they also don't have sweat glands, and that's because they cool down much more easily than we do. They don't have such variable body temperature, and that contributes, I think, to the thickness of their skull. Now you can just hear, I'm going to be quiet very briefly. Now there's a whole herd of elephants. You know what? I think it's going to be we're very close to Buffelshoek Dam, everybody. These buffalo, I think, are making their way down there. It sounds to me like there are more elephants heading down to the dam. We're not far from there, so I'm going to suggest we pop across to the dam straight away. What do you say, Brian? You say good idea, don't you?
Good idea.
Yeah, excellent. There we go. Let me just try and not reverse into something. There we are, we're okay. Hello, James Richard. Difficult question. You say, are there individual Shangaan words for the attributes that animals have, e.g. trunk of an elephant? Yes, there are. I don't know what they are for, well, that specifically, I'm not sure what that is, but I imagine it's probably very similar to the word for nose. I don't think, I don't think it would be exactly the same as the word for nose, I imagine. I'm just trying to think, a lion's mane, that's a similar word to the word for beard. So if you say someone, inamandevu, he's got a big mane, he's got a big beard like a lion, is basically what it means. But the word in Zulu, for example, for beard and mane, I think are two different words, so they're not the same. But there will be different words for different attributes, but probably not as many as there are in English. But certainly I know in Zulu there are, every single bird's got a different species name, same as they do in Shangaan. Just looking at the ground, there's some hyena tracks heading this way. Well, the dam is just over here. And interestingly, when I spent a little bit of time in the Congo, in the Democratic Republic thereof, and I was talking to some local people there. They only have one word for antelope. They only have one word for monkey, despite the fact that there are more than 10 species of primate monkeys there. And that was in one specific area. And I think it's because the area has been so denuded of animals over the course of the logging that's gone on there and the wars and the terrible time that they've had, that the individual words for these animals have been lost, which is deeply distressing, I think. We've come down to the dam, and there's not a sausage in sight. We might have to go back to our buffalo and our elephant there. We'll just go onto the wall here. Oh, there is, however, an endangered bird. There it is. It's a saddle-billed stork, everyone. I'm going to stop over here. I don't want to startle the thing. And what I think we're going to find is that we're going to see more and more and more of these storks. We're going to get marabou storks popping down here very soon. There's going to be an increase in fish eagle visits to this area as this water gets shallower and shallower, and probably the odd catfish arrives. Now, I don't know how many of you have been watching of late, but we've been at the Arathusa Dam quite recently, and we know that there are possibly thousands of catfish in there. Enormous things, some of them up to 4 feet long. They aren't the same here. And it's interesting because, of course, Buffelshoek Dam dried out before the brief rain that we had at the beginning of the year, and it filled up a little bit. And I'm sure that there are small catfish in here, but there are none of those behemoth-like 4-footers that you're finding there in the Arathusa Dam. And if the Arathusa Dam dries out, which I think it is very likely to, for long enough, then those big fish will die, and well, who knows when they'll come back again. So I don't see any kind of bubbles, or very few bubbles, rising to the surface here. So I don't know for sure if there are any catfish here, and if there aren't, or if there are, there must be very little. Brian, I know we don't have the super zoom camera, but there is the most beautiful little flock of yellow-fronted canaries sitting at the edge of the dam there behind. There, they've just flown off into the Ziziphus tree there. We really needed the big super zoom camera. That was stunning. They're in there. You can just see little flashes of yellow in the tree there. I can't hear any more elephant movement. Yes, I can. Can I? Something's moving in the bush here. Ah, a red-billed hornbill. And you can hear a Birchall starling. The canaries, and you can maybe even hear them going. Hello, Flaming Fox. What a lovely Twitter handle that is. The Flaming Fox, everybody, would like to know how many dams or waterholes there are here at Djuma. Well, there's Buffelshoek Dam here. There's twin dams down to the south. There is Treehouse Dam to the east and the west, and there's Djuma Dam in the centre, where you had the lions earlier this morning. So that makes 4, if I'm not mistaken. And then there are a number of pans, some of them natural, some not. Well, there's one not. That's the artificially pumped pan that is in front of the Djuma Dam. That one is pumped when there's no water in the Djuma Dam itself. And then there are a number of natural pans which hold water after heavy rain, and they'll hold water sometimes for months. So that's the sort of water there is here. So quite a lot after a lot of rain, there's lots and lots of water being stored. Isn't that a lovely sighting? Look at the delicate way it walks. Incredibly careful about where it puts its feet. And there are some birds, and I'm not sure if this is one of them, but some of these wading birds like this can feel, so they move like that in order to disturb the fish. And they are so sensitive on the foot that if a fish flushes from underneath their feet, they stab down extremely accurately where they think it's moved. And that's how they catch the fish without sighting them, because they obviously can't see through the surface of this murky water. And I think that saddle-billed stork is looking for fish in the mud there. I'm going to check something. I'm going to check what else they eat, because I think it's quite interesting that it's sitting there. I mean, I can't see any obvious signs of fish, so I'm not entirely convinced there are any here. Righty, food, mainly fish, also frogs, reptiles, small mammals, birds, crustaceans, and aquatic insects. So I think what it's going for there is probably a lot of aquatic insects you'll find. Maybe the odd snail. I don't think there'll be any small mammals under there, do you, Brian? Potentially not. Miniature dam dolphins. Underwater bats. I really thought that the elephants were going to pop down here. They might do, but I can hear absolutely no sign of them. There's beefies might come down as well, but they're a little ways off. I can hear them in the distance going bleh. I think it might be worth sitting here until they come. Yeah. Alright, let's go and update with the lions. I'll make a decision as to whether we're going to stay here or not, and also just find out if we might not get one last look at Karula's cubs this morning before we go back.
So these lions have not moved too much. This male is still feeding. He's literally got the last little piece of meat there. Still crunching away. He's really enjoyed that buffalo calf. I can see some elephant in the distance walking towards the waterhole too. This poor lioness has had no luck to get more food from this male. Oh, beautiful yawn, look at that. But as it starts to warm up now, I think these lions are going to potentially move off into the shade somewhere. I don't think they're going to move too far, and I'm sure they will go and drink at the water a little bit later. Let's just see what this lioness does if she tries to get too close to this male. Have a look here quickly. Let's see if we hear any growl from that other male, or from that male. See, she's very cautious, very cautious of approaching, but it's almost not worth it. She'll rather sit and wait. Yeah, she's going to lie down. Another growl. This elephant are all heading down towards the dam or the waterhole. Why don't we move down there quickly? As I said, I don't think these lions are going to move too much today. It's going to get nice and warm, and with full bellies, they'll probably hang around there, and I'm sure we'll get to see them later this afternoon too. Hopefully, and maybe we get some lions roaring for us later. That would be fantastic. Let's quickly make our way to those elephant. I think I saw some youngsters. I could just see them in the distance. Let's go have a look. Really lovely sighting with these lions this morning. Glad we got to find them so early. Oh, there we go. They're all there at the waterhole drinking. Nice big herd. And yeah, it looks like a lot of babies. So Flaming Fox has sent us a question and would like to know, do elephants have a breeding season? No, they do not. They can breed any time of the year. Whenever the females come into estrus, The males will then try and find them, mate with them, and the elephant then have a 22-month gestation period, very, very long gestation period, and they will give birth any time of the year. That's why you have so many different ages with the elephants. A morning drink, they will move off, go and feed during the day, and probably head back to the water hole a little bit later, one that they find. Wonderful. I just want to try something for you quickly. I want to just change our vehicle position a little bit. See if we don't have... They're very relaxed, these elephants. Very, very relaxed, enjoying that water. Just see if we don't get a few walking quite close to us. It's always wonderful to have elephant walk past. Let's just see, and it's a nice view from here too, of their trunks dipping into the water. Oh, look at that young one on the other side there. Very cute. So from leopard cubs earlier this morning to elephant calves. So Sarah has asked us a question: how fast can elephants run? So Sarah, if I remember correctly, oh, bit of a trumpet there. If I remember correctly, a charging elephant can reach a speed of, I think it was around 45 kilometers an hour. Can reach that speed quite easily, and that's very fast. There we go, one walking quite close to us. Have a look to our left. There's one smelling us right here. Hello. Just a little warning, but she's not too fast. She just came to smell, make sure we're not a threat. It's just a little shake of the head and the flap of the ears to say don't try and come too much closer. We've got a young elephant here, and the females are very protective over the herd and the youngsters. If we're lucky, we might get one of the youngsters walking up to us. They can sometimes get a little bit curious and inquisitive. They might come and sniff around. It's amazing to watch these younger elephants. They learn from the adults so quickly. So Kathy from Tennessee has asked if she wonders if the lions can, if the elephant can see the lions. That is, and no, Kathy, I don't think they can. The lions are actually about, I would say, just over 100 meters from where we are, about 100 meters away. But they are in an area where there's a little bit of thick vegetation. There are some trees, combretum trees, covering them. So even now, while I'm scanning around, I can just see the male, the one male, but he's about 100 meters away. But I don't think the elephant have seen him just yet. And because he is quite far, he's no threat to them, so they're probably not too phased, but I don't think they have seen him yet. Usually what happens is, elephant, if they do see predators, especially lions and that, they will go and chase them, and they chase them away. Little trumpet from a young one. So Felix has asked, what would I do if the elephant charged us? So Felix, I would leave David on the vehicle and I would run. No. What I would do is probably just sit tight, hold our position. The reason for that is generally the elephant will give a mock charge. It's unlikely that they will give a full-blown charge. But the nice thing about elephant is you can read their behavior. Well, you get, I suppose with more experience, you get used to reading behavior quite easily. And you can tell if they are unhappy. And if elephant do look unhappy, then you generally just keep your distance. Don't get too close. So have a look at this female and see if she comes any closer. Look at that youngster trying to drink, suckle from the front or from the mammary glands, from the teats that are situated under the front legs. You see that? So if an elephant had to charge, I'd probably just sit tight, hold my ground. If they got a little too close, making a noise can sometimes help if you clap your hands or hit the side of the vehicle, but I prefer not to do that. Generally, I just try and avoid a situation like that and not cause the elephant to be aggressive or upset them in any way. You know, at the end of the day, we purely here to view them and appreciate these animals. We don't want to cause them to feel threatened or upset. Again, you can never be sure, but if you generally try to keep your space and keep your distance and allow them to approach you, they are generally more relaxed and happy with you being around. These are very relaxed at the moment. They're not fazed by us at all. Look at this baby coming through. Oh, look at that. So cute. It's tiny. That is wonderful. See how they all almost protect that young one. Move around, stay close together. It is still a very, very young elephant, so they are very careful when walking around with it. It'll be interesting. The rest of the herd have moved off further down the road, and still no sign of them noticing that there are lions in the area. I would have thought perhaps they would pick up on a smell, but it all depends on which direction the wind is blowing. As I said, they're about 100 meters away, so it's not like they are very, very close. And it smells like the wind is blowing from the elephant up to the lions. So the lions would know that the elephant are here. So Virginia from Kentucky has asked us, do the young elephant use their mouth or their trunk to nurse? Virginia, they use their mouth. They lift their trunk back, they fold it back out of the way, and then they will suckle with their mouth. Off they go to feed for the day. What a lovely sighting. I love seeing elephant and spending time with them. Just wait for these two at the back just to move off a little bit further, and then we will move too. What a great sighting. Whole herd has just stopped over there. Not too sure if they've smelt anything, or maybe they can sense lions in the area, or maybe picked up on the scent of some lions. I've spotted James on the other side of the dam. Looks like he is potentially going to try and get you another view of some leopard and cubs. There's James. Oh dear, he's going to try and drive something again. Is he? Greatness. I do apologize for James, everyone. I think he's needing some coffee and breakfast, perhaps. James was waving so profusely at us. Why don't you go across to him and get an update and see what he's up to?
There's a very kind link there from Bertram. Thank you, Bertram. Well done. Nice elephants. Now, everybody, we stopped here mainly because Bertram was parked the other side there with his friend. Is he being filmed by Duncan?
Duncan, yes.
Duncan and Bertie, the other side there. And we've come back into this area because we have space to get into Karula again. So I think we're going to move in there. Unless you're tired of looking at Karula and her babies. Shall we go?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go and have a quick look. I think that Byron / Bertie is probably heading towards the lions again. I'm just going to quickly contact Andrew. Go ahead. I'm just listening. Copy, thanks. Good morning, good morning.
Maybe join him this side.
Okay. All right, thanks, Sam. Hi, everybody. So we're going to go in from a different angle this time. I think the sun will be extremely bright from where we looked last time. Now she's just through here. We're going to ease our way back down through here. And I'm just listening on the radio to reports of the dogs, and it seemed that they were heading in a southerly direction back towards Buffelshoek Dam, but they've changed. So I think we'll just stick with our Leopardo, so we know where she is. Magnificent queen. Now, for those of you, I don't think I've said this today, Karula, of course, a 12-year-old female leopard. She is at the bulk of our leopard viewing, and many have been watching her for, I think, probably up to 9 years now, enjoying the different sights and trials and tribulations of the life of a leopard in the Sabi sand. And of course, this particular area, some of the best leopard viewing you'll find anywhere in the world, if not the best. Just ease our way around here very slowly. Now, Andrew said if we wanted to see the cubs, we should come around this way, Karula the other way. I think let's try and see the cubs, just simply because, well, they are so very special to see. Not that the queen isn't special. Not so, Brian. We don't want to get ourselves into trouble. I got myself into a lot of trouble, everybody. The first time I saw Karula, I said I thought she had a slightly pug face. Well, that was not a good idea on my part. Some very cross people after I said that. Well, the kill. Where's the kill? Isn't it in that tree there? No, it's not. It's around the corner. I'm just going to see if we can't see the cubs. I don't know where they are. We're going to go around. Yeah, I think we're going to go around this vehicle here. So now, oh, there's Karula. We can just see her there. You won't see her, but there you can see her. There she is. Okay, have a quick look there, and now we'll go around the other side. There's a cub sitting on the top of this termite mound. I'll just get you into a position where you can see them. see there, Brian? Just on the top there. There we go. You can't see it. It is there, it's right on the top. I'm going to go around the other side. Hello, Doug in Connecticut. You ask a nice question about when the cubs will stop showing so much affection for each other. You'll find at the same time that they change sort of size from each other when they hit puberty. So you'll find around about a year old, they'll stop being too friendly to each other. There you go, Brian, just at the top of the mound. We'll just have a quick look here. She's just around there. I'm sure they're both up there. There you can just see the ear twitching. See that? And we're just going to keep easing our way around this way and see if we can get a better view. So Doug, you know, as with I think many mammals, the playfulness of and exuberance of youth, if you like, will start to diminish once puberty comes and adulthood sets in. And you may well find that they are never angry with each other, that they are never openly aggressive to each other, but they will avoid each other once they're both adults. So everybody, there is a lot of bush around here, and I don't want to get too close and frighten one of them, so I'm going to go around this way. I'm not sure I'll be able to get through here. Let's go down there. See the ears poking up the top there, right? And just do that. There we are. Just there. I just want to give them a little bit of time to settle while we move around here. If you can believe it, those dogs have crossed to Buffelshoek Dam. I don't know where Byron is. If he's close by, it might be worthwhile. There's the little leopard. I think there's an elephant right here as well. I'm going to sneak forward. That's what the leopard's looking at. I'm just going to show you the elephant. Oh, look at this. Look. There's Karula and the elephants coming towards her. And there's the kill. I was talking absolute rubbish. That is a duiker. I was looking at the kill there. I thought it was a steenbok to start with. But it is definitely a duiker. Isn't this amazing? Two shot of elephant and leopard. And the cubs are around here. I don't know where the other cub is. Might be possibly up in the tree there. Let's just keep an eye out. You can see Karula not vaguely worried about the elephants. Doesn't seem to be in the least bit phased. There we go. She's now moving. Ease forward. Look, look, look. You know what's going on where we were waiting at Buffelshoek Dam, everybody, is that the buffalo herd has arrived, the elephant herd has arrived, the wild dogs have arrived. It's okay, we've got 3 leopards. We'll be alright here, don't you think, Brian? Oh wow, look at that. That is too precious. All 3 of them, the little family together. Isn't that awesome? Now I'm going to just get a look at their eyes and see if their eyes have in fact changed. Just too fantastic. Cannot believe our luck today. Nevin, you're in Australia and you say you were in Kruger once and you came across an abandoned lion cub and you say, is it common? No, it's very uncommon, Nevin. It really does not happen a lot. It's very strange, and it would probably have happened as a result of pressure or starvation, or the mother may have died. Well, they do cross-suckle, but if the pride was in some distress, then you'll find that they may have abandoned the youngster. Now look, these elephants are coming towards us. The little leopard cubs are sneaking up onto the top of the mound. This is too wonderful. Yeah, their eyes haven't changed much, you know. That is definitely Charlotte we're looking at there, who's just jumping onto the back of the mound there. And she's just a little bit nervous of the elephants. Byron, everybody, Bertie, is on his way to Buffelshoek Dam, and with any luck we're going to have dogs as well. Now, Blue Butterfrog, a nice question from you. If the cub was in a tree, would an elephant approach the tree? I don't think these youngsters would. They wouldn't be afraid of the cub. They're not overtly nasty to predators. I mean, they know these leopards are here. They're not worried about it. But at the same time, I guess an angry elephant bull, if he smelt predator in a tree, might try and push the tree over or certainly shake the cub out. But I think they'd have to be very, very upset to do that. I don't think these youngsters and I don't think these young ones and the cows would be that angry. I don't think they would have to do that. Oh, I'm just going to depress the clutch and see. Ooh, we can't sneak forward because this view of the cubs on top is going to be something else. Not to frighten anyone, elephant or cat. You got the cub there, Brian? This is just brilliant. What a day we've had. Travis, you want to know if I think an elephant can tell the difference between a lion and a leopard. Travis, I've got absolutely no doubt in my mind that they can completely. They don't like lions. There's absolutely no way they would tolerate lions sitting this close to them. No chance at all. Look at this elephant, come right up close to us, only about 5 feet away. I don't know where to look. Got cub there, mum there, and elephant even closer. This is so special. She's almost feeding off the vehicle. I can see the individual little pieces of skin there. And they just don't care about us. It's so wonderful. They're paying us no attention whatsoever. And this is how you want to experience the wild. The animals totally ignoring you, just getting on with their lives. It's just too wonderful. So all youngsters. I'm not sure where the rest of the herd is, but there will be more elephants. And these guys are just basically experiencing life, enjoying being around us, I think. Oh, here's a tiny little thing. A little bit more nervous of us. Oh, it's our friends, Brian. It's our mates. It's the missing trunk. It's the third trunk elephant cow, and Brian and I have spent a lot of time with these elephants. I don't know if they recognize us, but maybe there's an element of them recognizing us and not being worried about us. Oh, that's so special. She just shepherded the youngster away. They're the best elephant herd, this. Just the 4 of them. That is so cool. I can't believe it. Fantastic. Byron is now doing roughly Mach 3 along the Buffelshoek cut line to get to Buffelshoek Dam before either the dogs move or we run out of time. We've got 20 minutes. I think you're going to have an amazing sighting there of wild dogs. That will bring the total sort of animals seen on the drive: buffalo, elephant, leopard cub, lion, lion kill, male lion, female lion, and wild dogs. That will probably register as one of the best drives we've ever managed to deliver, I feel. And I say we, I actually mean that the wilderness has delivered to us. There's our third trunk female. I think it's time we gave her a name, don't you?
I do.
What do you think? 30 seems a little bit rude, yes. I don't think we can call her 30. No, not for a lady. FM? Yeah, FM, make your way. The female is just this side where I am. Not sure you'll get space, but if you come the other side of the mound from where I am, you may get the cubs on the top. I'm just trying to help them into the sighting here. I don't know where the cubs are at the moment. With any luck, he'll give them a bit of a fright and they'll come over the side. They don't like the movement. Lily Garden, we've been asked this a few times, and it's a really interesting question. And we don't know, but you say, at what age is she going to stop giving birth? When will she be beyond breeding age? She's 12 now. She's had cubs. They, in theory, if they survive, the last one, the male, will probably go independent at about 18 months. And therefore, she will then be, what will she be, about 13 and a half, almost 4, probably 14 actually. And by then she'll be almost done breeding. I think she's probably got, if these ones live to fruition, or live to independence, I think you'll find that she's got one more litter in her after this. I'm just guiding this chap in so that he can see the queen. The kill is in the tree behind you. She's just eyeing them out, deciding what she thinks of that lot. Now, the cubs, I think, are probably sitting on the top of the mound. Margaret, you're absolutely correct. You say on the scale of 1 to 10, I'm having an 11 day. I would say absolutely, possibly even a 12. Brian?
12 bordering 13.
12 bordering 13. It is just too wonderful. I can't see the cubs on the top, can you? I'm just going to peer to the top with my powerful binoculars. I can see a bit of moving grass, but I don't see the youngsters. Let me just ask her. Can you see the cubs? Okay. The kill is just behind you in the tree there. If you just reverse a little bit, and then you'll be able to get a better view of the queen. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go all the way around here for everybody, just see if we can't see the cubs on the top. I'm sure all these bushes weren't here when we came in, Brian. We've got babies at the back there. You got them on top. Yeah? More? Ah. It's amazing. I mean, that is only maybe 12 meters from us. 30 feet, almost invisible. How's the other one gone to the other side? Both on top there. That is so cool. Little ears looking. Fantastic. I think the queen's still sitting I don't think she's going to move. In the meantime, let's just do another little maneuver and see if we can't get a slightly better view. Jim, a nice one from you about vultures. Will vultures go for that kill? They might settle in the trees around here. They're not, vultures can't really perch. So for them to actually eat a kill in a tree would be very difficult. If it was just left there, yes, I suppose they probably would eventually sort of try and have a bit of a peck at it. But ideally they need to eat on the ground. It is quite nicely hidden from the air, so I don't know that they'd be able to see it that well, but they may be able to see it. And then they'd come and sit in the trees around here. But they wouldn't ever go near Karula, for example. They wouldn't. If they saw her there, they'd sit in the trees, and she would probably chase them off if they tried to go anywhere near the kill. Now, let's go back across the bayou and get an update from him as to what he's going to do with those dogs, or if he's found them, and I'll stay here for the remainder of the drive.
Hi everyone, so I'm in search of wild dogs. We've got an update that they crossed over onto Djuma, and I'm trying to rush around to find the wild dogs. When they do move through an area, they move through very, very quickly. No sign of them just yet. Let's just have a look along here. As I said, they do run and hunt in the mornings, and mornings like this they can cover huge distances, huge areas when they are looking for food. I haven't got anything just yet for you, but let's see. So while I'm still on the search for wild dogs, head back to James and the leopard cubs.
Well, there is the leopard cub, everybody. We've just moved around here, and you can see even a cub can be flat cat, just like those lions, and they will sleep. Obviously they're very little, so they'll probably sleep even more than their mother does. And Karula is a very good sleeper. She's highly accomplished at sleeping. Not quite as accomplished as lions are at sleeping. They're the most accomplished sleepers in all of creation, I think. Brian, you're not a very accomplished sleeper, are you?
No.
Very poor sleeper, in fact.
Poor sleeper.
Yes.
It's no good.
I must say that after in the morning now, of course, taking on that delightfully quiet, peaceful atmosphere. Michael, you want to know why some leopards are so relaxed around vehicles. Michael, it's from years and years and years of leopard viewing. In the Sabi Sand, we have been viewing leopards now for probably 30 years odd, ever since the first mother leopard, who, I don't know if you noticed, Lex Hess, who was one of the guides driving around today here with us this morning, he and a couple of colleagues habituated leopards in the Sabi Sands around Londolozi many years ago, and it was those leopards, those original leopards, and the approach that they did, or the approach that they took to habituating them, so spending extended periods in a vehicle with them, that eventually brought about this whole, basically an industry based on the viewing of this cat. And it's just through time with the leopards that they became completely relaxed with the vehicles. And what you find is that the cubs take their cues from their mothers. So these two cubbies will be relaxed around cars as long as their mother is. It's the same with Shadow's cub, and it's the same with Karula's mother, and it would have been the same for her mother before her. And if you go into a new area and you don't see the leopards, or you haven't seen leopards before, they will run away from vehicles. They'll be terrified of vehicles, and it's a process of just showing that you mean that you have no threat, that you are no threat, by spending time away from them. You get a bit closer, you talk a bit, you make, so that they can hear the sound of the human voice and not associate it with danger, and then you go away again, and it's a long process. But once you've got a sort of suite of adults where they are relaxed, you can be almost certain that their cubs will take the cue from their parents, and then you're into a situation like this where you've basically got great leopard viewing. If it's not once a week, or at least even on this small reserve, we have pretty good leopard viewing, probably 2 or 3 times a week, which, initially in many wildlife areas is totally unheard of. But it's simply through time viewing them. It also does help, of course, that we have a situation where you can follow them off-road. So I was recently at Pinda, which is a stunning reserve down on the north coast of Natal. And Pinda has a leopard concentration probably higher than Sabi Sand, but the reason they don't view them so well is because they can't drive off-road. The terrain just doesn't allow for it. So if a leopard goes off-road here, well, it is a bit bumpy, and we do kind of make a bit of noise every so often. We can't do it. You can get in amongst the trees, through the bushes. There's not a huge number of rocks around. A place like Pinda on the Waterberg of South Africa, beautiful, beautiful areas. But to drive off-road after them is difficult, which means that they don't get as habituated to us as they do here in the Sabi Sands. Botswana is another area where you can drive off-road very successfully in the delta, and the leopards there, even though they have massive, massive concessions of space, the leopards there, especially at a place like Mambo, for example, the leopard viewing there is probably as good as it is here in the Sabi Sand. So we've only got a few minutes left. I'm hoping Byron is going to have some success there, but if he doesn't, at least we've had an unbelievable morning. Let's go across to Byron quickly and get an update from him. I think it's a bit frustrating.
So no luck just yet with the wild dog. I've been having a look around very carefully. I don't see anything. No one has any sight of them. But that's the way wild dogs move. They'll come through an area, they'll cross over very quickly and move in, have a look if there's any potential prey, and move out just as quickly as they came in. But I'm not going to give up just yet. I just want to check this area carefully. Even if we find them after or once you have tuned out, then maybe this afternoon we're lucky and we might be able to show you some wild dog. That would be really great. So I'm just having a good look around. You never know, they could come running past us. It can be a little frustrating at times, James, you're right. But that's how it goes. That's what happens. We've had a fantastic morning. We've had lions with a kill. We've had the leopards with a kill and the cubs. Just incredible. Elephant. It's all been happening. What an exciting morning. And literally within a few kilometers of camp, very close to camp this morning. So we're very lucky and very happy. No, still no sign of any wild dog. I think they may have moved out of the area already. But it's warming up, so if we are able to find some tracks, we might be able to track them, because as soon as it starts to warm up, they go and they lie down, rest, and they'll relax for most of the day, and then early this afternoon again, they'll probably get up and start moving around and hunting. You never know, we could potentially find them then. I hope you've enjoyed this morning with us. We've certainly had a fantastic morning with you, and thank you for all the questions. Thank you to David on camera with me this morning. Always great to have David with us. And thank you to the ladies in the FC. We will see you all later this afternoon. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and thank you.
Back we are with the leopard. And the leopard, I'm afraid, has not moved an ear since you were last here. Tiny little thing. I was saying earlier, probably about the size of a white Highland Terrier or a Scotty dog. There's an ear movement, high action here. And Mum will sleep the other side, and I think sometime during the middle of the day they'll go up and have a bit of an eat. Hello, Gary. You say you've seen big cats jumping on vehicles. Gary, you may have seen that. It would have been cheetah, though, and it would have been cheetah probably in East Africa. And cheetah do that in East Africa because there's so little in the way of cover. There's also very little in the way of vantage points. And they hunt purely on sight there. And so they jump onto the cars for vantage. So they leap up onto the bonnets of the vehicles, they look around the place, and they leap off again. It doesn't happen here. If a leopard was to jump onto your bonnet, it's happened to me once, it is an absolutely terrifying experience. It's not jumping onto the bonnet for a vantage point, it's normally jumping onto the bonnet because it's so very, very cross, and you don't want a cross leopard around. So I'm aware there are almost no fatalities recorded, or of cheetah attacking human beings. But with leopards that is not the case, so they don't have the same relationship with us that cheetah do. Look how perfectly hidden that leopard is. Wonderful. Right, we have had an exceptional morning. Thank you, Brian, and your thumb. Your thumb did an exceptional job today. Big thank you to Bertram and Duncan on the other vehicle for their efforts today. To Kirsten Mac Smith being ably assisted this morning, I think by Chelsea Bunn. I think it was Chelsea Bunn. Wonderful to have you with us, and thank you to all of you for joining us for what was an utterly spectacular morning from the middle of Africa. We'll see you later at 3 o'clock this afternoon.